Again, a quick recap. King Solomon has built the first temple. King Cyrus has built the second temple. King Herod has built this 2.5 temple. He renovated the second temple. So you can tell that all these temples have been built by kings and man for men to be run by men. Okay? All the temples have been built by men for men to be operated by men. And all three temples, God was never in any of them. God checked out earlier. Okay, now there's a lot of history, but I'm hoping I'm tying the knot now very soon. Then all of a sudden we get a fourth king. It is King Jesus. And he said, I also want to build a temple. I want to build a temple. When he said, I will build my church, he was saying, I know there's been all these temples, but I have an idea of a temple. I am what the prophets were pointing to when they said that what it is desired of Israel is here. I am that person, and I have another temple. Before we go into a little bit of detail, we see it. What about the old temple? What is wrong with the old temple? You can tell me what is wrong with the old temple tonight. You are a genius at this point. Antwi said, I have a better temple. But here we go, folks. The old temple, the old church, number one, is not God's idea. It was built by men for men. It defeats God's agenda for being mobile. God doesn't want to sit in one place. God said, take me to work, take me to school, take me everywhere. I want to be present. I want to move around. It was conditional. Folks, the old temple is conditional. In other words, I am going to be here as long as you behave. And when you don't behave, I am gone. But God is saying, I don't want that. I want to be able to, I want a mechanism that allows me to stay in there, in this new temple, to stay there permanently. So all three temples, all three, the old temple, Solomon's temple, the Icono temple, the refurbished temple, all of them, God comes and goes. God comes and goes. And God is saying, for this new temple, I have an idea. It is a better idea. The old temple again, the old temple was full of pride. The old temple was more important than God himself. It was the temple of God, but it was become more important than God. So if you look at Jeremiah, Jeremiah was calling them out. He says, do not trust in the deceptive words and say, this is Jeremiah 7 verse 4. Do not trust in the deceptive words and say, this is the temple of the Lord. This is the temple of the Lord. This is the temple of the Lord. I'm not making it up. This is in the Bible. The people were putting more emphasis on the temple than on God himself. You should read Jeremiah chapter 7. You'll be amazed. Jeremiah chapter 7. The emphasis, the overemphasis on the old structure, the old things that God said, I've been done with this stuff. You put so much pride into it, and then you have no need for me. But God is saying that be careful, those words, this is the temple of the Lord, this is the temple of the Lord, this is my church, I belong to that church, I belong to that sect, I belong to that faith, I belong to that denomination. He said, I've been done with these things. I have moved on. And next week we'll start tying the knot again. But then I want to tell you something. Jesus, not God alone, but Jesus, by the time Jesus came up, he had grown a little bit. He had had enough. The temple, by the time he showed up, the whole temple structure was just a corrupt machinery. Corrupt machinery. It was just to suppress. It was built to suppress and keep the people quiet. It was, the temple tax was in silver. So it was, you had Israelites all over the world. Everybody is bringing in their money from Turkey, from Syria, from Samaria. They are bringing different currencies. The temple officials said, we only take silver. If, as you remember, it was only the same silver, the 30 pieces of silver they used to sell Jesus. So he says that temple people say, we only take silver. So if you bring in your money from Syria and it's in pound sterling, we are going to do the exchange rates here, right here in the temple. And guess who set the exchange rates? It was the temple people. So today, when I look at how you are dressed, I can say 10 silver costs 10 pounds sterling costs 1 silver, and you have no choice. You have to pay. So all kinds of schemes to take money. There was a ton of hypocrisy in the old temple. There was exclusivity in the old temple. Exclusivity, that means this is our temple. This is our house. This is my church. We are for Dunbury. This is my church. We are for New Milford. We are for Southbury. This is my church. We are for this area. This is my faith. This is my denomination. This is my doctrine. My doctrine is better than yours. All these craziness, all of them, this idea of exclusivity all belongs to the old temple. And Jesus Christ says, hey, folks, I have never been interested in this temple business. Never been interested. So as you remember, Jesus goes to church one day and he takes the money changers. This is their money. You can see some of the silver in there. He takes it and just starts shoving it and said, I'm done with your temple. I'm done with this temple. You get out of here. Get your pigeons and your goats out of here. They were selling goats and pigeons in the church as sacrifices, and they could price it. They look at how you look like and they price it. And Jesus is saying, take your pigeons, take your goat, take your sheep, take your cows, take your money changers. Everybody get out of here. He takes a whip and whips the heck out of them. He does all this. And then he comes back to this. I will build my church. Guys, I will build my church. And the gates of hate, the gates of unbelief, the gates of corruption, the gates of human nature, humanism, the gates of materialism, the gates of secularism, the gates of doubt, the gates of ineffectiveness, the gates of powerlessness, the gates of no healing. We pray for all night and not a single healing. Those gates will not prevail against it. I will build my church. It's a brand new church. It is a better church. It is a more powerful church. It is a more glorious church. I will build my church. I'll build my church. So here we are, the third temple. Third temple, folks. There's a third temple. And tonight, I don't know, you will probably be able to tell me what the third temple is. It's a brand new church. It meets all the requirements of God. It is God's idea. That third church will be God's idea. It will be the dwelling place of God, like the tabernacle from the Old Testament, way back. It will be God's idea. It will be God's dwelling place. It will be God's sanctuary, this third temple. I don't know what it is. You will probably be able to tell me. It is the residence of God on earth. It is portable. God moves around to show himself to people. It is the most amazing thing ever. That in that temple, his presence is not conditional. Oh no. Oh no, folks. His presence in that church is not based on man's behavior. Me, whether I'm good or I'm bad. God says, if I keep track of your goodness and your badness, I'm not going to be able to dwell in this temple. So God is saying, I'm going to do this a mechanism. I'm going to work something out where I can always look at a blood, or I'll look at something that will constantly atone for the mistakes, so that I can permanently dwell there. I am done with the process of going in and out, in and out, in and out. In and out. So I am doing something that allows me to stay permanently. So it says, instead of looking at your faults, your mistakes, your broken promises, instead of looking at your past, instead of looking at the way you look at people, sometimes even though you speak in tongues, instead of looking at how you dress, sometimes even though your conscience is telling you, instead of looking at all of that, he said, I'm going to look at one thing that allows me to dwell in that temple, and it allows me to dwell permanently, so that I don't need you to fix your life. The same way I couldn't wait for Solomon to get rid of his 1,000 women before I could move in, I cannot wait for you to fix your entire life before I move in. This is what I do. I will find a way to move into that temple, and then when I move in, you are going to look at me and then let your life reflect me. You will do it my way. So instead of you waiting for me, Instead of me waiting, this is God. Instead of me waiting for you to fix your life before I move in, I will move in.
I will move in regardless.
I will move in, and when I move in, you will look at me and then fix your life. And then that temple, folks, that temple, it is more glorious. It is more magnificent. Not the Econo temple, not Herod's temple, but he says this temple has more glory than the former temple. So the glory of God that will come in this new temple, it is the one he built. It is going to be more glorious than the glory that was in Solomon's temple. I got to tell you, Solomon's temple, the inner sanctuary, I did the math. I like doing these calculations. I added up all the gold that they did, and I converted it to the gold in Wall Street right now, the gold market, and it's $56 billion worth of gold and silver and bronze. 56 billion. And God is saying, you will be more glorious than 56 billion worth of gold. I will make your heart more valuable than 56 billion of gold. I will move in. And he says something. He says, this is not me saying it. This is all the things he said to Ezra when they showed him the Econo temple. He said, good luck, guys, but I have a place where my peace will dwell forever. My peace will not go in and out. Forever. It'll dwell forever. So I have a question for you folks. Who or what is that temple? We have to answer that question. Who or what is that temple? I am tempted to answer it for you, but I think you know the answer. I'm looking at through the chat, and I want a few people to unmute themselves and confidently proclaim who or what is that temple.
Me.
Me.
The temple is I.
Me. I'm a mobile temple.
That's right. You are the third temple.
We are the temple.
You are the temple. Well, I need a few more. If you believe it, you have to say it.
Yes.
You cannot say it.
I am the temple.
You are the
I am the temple.
I am the Chuku says she is the temple. Trisha says she's the temple. Victoria is the temple.
I am the temple.
I am the temple.
I am God's
I am the temple.
God's idea. You are God's dwelling place.
I am the
You are
temple.
God's sanctuary. You are God's residence. You are God's portable. You carry God wherever you go. You are the reason why God said, I will live in a tent, because I have a house. I have a better house in mind. When you are the reason why he scolded David. You are the reason why he yelled at King Nathan the prophet. You are the reason why he waited all these years. He has waited 4,500 years for you.
Amen.
And tonight you are the temple.